Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to Season 5 and episode number 800 and I'm going to guess 89. I am correct, of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Oh, Canada. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Tuesday, April 26th. No, sorry, April 21st, 2026. That's better. And it looks like it's going to be a nice day here at the Beaver Lodge. There is some cloud, but it is not gray today. So, who knows? And yesterday, as I expected and as I predicted, the sun did come out a little bit to give us a little bit of warmth, and that allowed me to do a little bit of raking. We had some extra leaves and clear out the lawn, and so that beautiful other things can grow over the course of the summer. So yeah, and spring, of course. So yeah, had some outside time yesterday, which was very nice. Uh, I guess I kind of got to the mental health thing a little earlier, but let's finish off with the intro before we get into that, okay? Uh, I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronounced he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, hey. And not with me, as usual, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. And now, damn fam, how is your mental health today? I am doing well. And I think you might all know why it is that I am doing rather well, kids and cubs, because if you've been following, today is the day. Today is the day, kids and cubs, that I get to take a little trip to our local curling club. And well, one of our local curling clubs. It's not like we only have one. And get to say hello to these three beautiful people. This is Miss Rachel Holman at the top, Miss Jennifer Jones at the bottom, both world champions and Olympic medalists, bronze in the case of Rachel Holman and gold in the case of Jennifer Jones. And in between there, you know, a beautiful Brady Bunch theme. We have the wonderful and charming and delightful Devin Haru, who has been very, very generous with his time being a guest on our show. And I am finally going to get to meet all three of them today in person. Although, as I mentioned, for Rachel Holman, it is our second meeting, although I remember her more than she will remember me. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, I get to meet these people, and it'll be really nice, of course. given that we've had a chance to work together, if you could put it that way. Uh, but interact a few times on the show. We're really I like it when you have a chance to meet in real life certain people that either members of the Dam Fam or that have been guests on the show, and just share a moment. So that will be nice. Um, Hoping he might be available for dinner or something like that after, but I assume that with a schedule like his, it might be a quick in and out on the same day as well. And uh, but it will be nice to have an opportunity to say hello and shake his hand and all that good stuff. And who knows, maybe score a couple of extra interviews for the show. So yes, very, 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 very. And see again, like last time, I put the thing up and then forgot to put the thing down while I was talking. And I am seeing here that I need to modify my light a little bit because since I'm wearing something pinkish, it is making me look more red than I am. Let's see if I do this here. Ooh, okay, that's intense. That's a little better. Uh, yeah, I think that's going to be the good one here. All right. Uh, I did not get I did not get a lot of sun between yesterday and today. That's just the color of my shirt reflecting back on my face. So yeah, I am in a great mood. I'm in a really, really, really good mood. Can you tell? Can you tell? Huh? 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 Can you tell? Can you tell I'm in a good mood? I'm not excited. No, not at all. Oh my God. I just ah. Oh man. Yes, yes, exactly. You have it, Kit Lane. Our dear Queen Snuggles is going to get to fanboy today. Oh my God. I don't know how I'm going to make such a nerd of myself. I just I mean, I just know it, right? I'm gonna be sitting there and I'm gonna be trying to like, it's like I'm gonna be in line, there's gonna be a whole bunch of people talking to them, and at one point like this, it's gonna be my turn like this, and then Devin will probably smile the way he always smiles at everyone like this, and I'll be like this, and I smile at everyone too, right? So, and it's gonna be like, oh my God, right? Then he's gonna like say something, and I'm gonna say something like hello, hello, and then after that, I don't want to draw a complete and total blank. Hi, hi, how are you? Great, how are you? I got nothing. Exactly. You mean you're gonna be yourself, right? Exactly. Sit there. It's like, don't be yourself. Don't be yourself. Of course, which is really ironic, yeah, because I mean, the person in front of me is gonna be Devin. "Don't be yourself." Like, come on. It's like, if there's anyone you can be yourself with. Uh, I know, but I have to say, even though I know everything will be alright, even if the first thing out of my mouth is, uh, everything is going to ultimately be fine. I have usually if I'm too much of a geek and I completely face plant or whatnot, I find a way to recover somehow along the way. I remember this one time. The reason I fear it is because it happened to me once like, in my 20s. At one point, I was somewhere and I was there on official business, and there was somebody there that I really admired, and the person just sort of started talking to me out of the blue for a couple of seconds before they were invited to come up to address the room, and it was like after saying each other's names and saying like hi, like I'm a fan or something, or I admire your work, or I just had nothing, and we were like standing in front of each other, and it was just like really awkward for about like 30 seconds, and so well I guess, and then he was announced, and it was sort of like, okay, it's my turn, and it's like, oh God. I just felt, and then I was like on a mission for the rest of the event to find another time where he would be alone. I could like sit in the go bump up to him in a corner and just like say something remotely intelligent so that I can leave that room without them thinking I was a total dweeb. Ah, and it worked actually. Saw them a couple days later at the same event because it was a multi-day conference, and sort of like just like gave me a little holler and sort of like oh yeah, we were just talking about you. And so we're thinking like what a nice person you are, and it's sort of like oh phew. Safe. Mm. Oh man. All right. Let's get into it, kits and cubs, because we got some stuff going on today. Oh boy. Um, Yesterday there was so much for yesterday's show because there was a lot of things that have happened, and we didn't even touch upon this. But it is an important development, and you've probably heard about it by now. But over the course of the weekend, the um, oh, get saucy. Yes, that is some good advice here. Sorry, I cut myself off here, but I just took a look in the chat on the side and prepare yourself. Hi, it's so nice to finally meet you in person. Having you on as a guest was an amazing experience for me and our audience. Thank you so much, and hope to have you back with friends. And taking a picture of that right now. Making notes. Thank you. That will be very helpful. Kit Breen is going embrace your inner nerd. I always do. I'm just super hyper aware of it. Let's put it that way. And Kit Linda M. Yeah, or it all comes gushing out at once. That's probably the thing that will most have it's either one or the other. It comes all rushing out at once, and it's like, "Oh my god, I'm talking and I can't shut up. Oh, somebody please shut me up. Somebody please, please." And even though I'm aware I'm talking and I can't shut up, I still can't shut up. That thing, or or literally I just drop blank. I have nothing to say. It's one of the two. If something goes a little off the rails, if not, then everything just uh, uh, everything happens smoothly, and there's no problem whatsoever. And I think it's related to the fact that even though it may not show by the fact that I do this thing, uh, 5 days a week, but I'm naturally somewhat introverted, and as a kid I was very, very painfully shy, to the point like I would cry at the thought of having to like go out there and actually proactively approach people. So I think maybe uh, which is really funny because I do all that stage stuff and I get a different type of nervousness there, but I'm not nervous to be in front of an audience. It's really smaller, intimate situations that do it for me. Um, so yeah, it's probably in combination with that, right? You just and then when you the pressure one puts upon themselves because they really, really, really want to make a good impression, as if, right? Because your mind does silly things, as if I haven't already made an impression, right? I mean, he's been on the show more than once, right? I keep inviting him, he keeps coming back. So, you know, your logical mind should be telling you is, well, clearly you've already made a good impression. And clearly this person will be predisposed to be happy to meet you in person. And then you always have that little, I hope, little flame of doubt right at the end. Oh man. Oh, Frankie. Get Frankie here. First day off in months, all because apparently I have onset glaucoma and I'm going for laser surgery today. Ooh, well, yeah, exactly. As Linda says, sorry to hear that and hope it all goes well. Sending you all the vibes. Um, but and hopefully in a few weeks afterwards, you will, rather than being worried, you'll be going, "Oh my God, this is so good! Thank goodness, smartest decision I ever made." That's well, maybe not smartest decision. Maybe hopefully you've made some smarter ones. I just realized by saying that I set the bar kind of low for you, didn't I? Please accept my apologies for that. Oh man. But yes, yes, it is simple surgery, but surgery is surgery, right? There's a risk to everything. So the concern is not to, uh, don't feel silly. It's okay to be concerned. You're right to be concerned. But um, the odds, however, are very highly in your favor. Let's put it that way. So I'm fairly confident. And anybody that I know who has gotten it, of course, anecdotal evidence is not the standard, has been very happy afterwards. So hopefully it will be the same for you. All right, kids and cubs. Let's get into it. As I mentioned, the prime minister um, decided to talk to Canadians over the course of the weekend. It's something we've called for. It's not something that we've called repeatedly for. So might not, be remembered. It's not like we went to the barricades and said, "You need to do this. This is lacking." But around the time when the prime minister became the prime minister, I think, and then had that confirmed via an election, um, there were a lot of people wondering about his political acumen or political ability because he did not come particularly from that milieu. He had always been swimming in politics as a central banker and dealing with politicians, but was not necessarily a politician himself, maybe more of a diplomat than a politician per se. Even though for a lot of people the lines are kind of blurred on that one, but some would argue that diplomats are just politicians who use different tools, right? Um, but you know, the boardroom is different than the parry and thrust of the House of Commons and the 24/7 hour ring and public ring of political battle. And would the prime minister be able to adapt? And well, it seems that he's doing it rather well, doing it in his own way, in a manner that seems to be authentic to the style and the talents that he particularly brings and the strengths that he brings. But he's doing it in his way, right? Who would have? Just put it this way: when we grow up and dealing and thinking in stereotypes, we do not think of central bankers as the first place you go to for riz. Just saying. And, well, Mark Carney has a certain charisma, right? It's not bold, it's not in your face, whatnot, but there's a charisma. There's a certain magnetism. He draws people in. People respect him. Um, so he's doing the job of politician his way, with his according to his type of personality, and people seem to be responding to it in this moment. It could be a perfect combination of what the moment requires, what he has to offer, and also playing into the mix a lot of what his political opponents or adversaries um, lack as well, factoring into the whole mix of why it is that he is having a moment right now. And that it's been lasting for a while because, we have seen him in action for about a year, and he and his government appear to be more popular now than they were when they were voted in, which is also an interesting uh, thing in politics. That's not necessarily typical. That there would be a growth in popularity 1 year in, particularly when you consider uh, how crazy making and volatile and unstable uh, are the sands that we're currently trying to build upon, thanks to, well, you know who, south of us, principally, but not just him. There's a couple people stirring the global pot and making things and making it such that the rest of us just can't uh, live in peace and have nice things. It's not just him, but he's doing a lot of the lifting, I'll tell you that. um, so yeah, the prime minister opted to talk to Canadians, and one of the things we were talking about earlier on is because not sure whether or not he was going to be able to clear that divide from boardroom to uh, c- the political wrestling cage, if you would call it. Um, but the fact that he could speak in full sentences and did have a PhD, which means he could the teach us economics, the concept of fireside chats type thing, or a modern day fireside chat. You know, given also the layers, the fact that his plan involves many components with pieces that fit together, that happen in layers, and that we're getting the bare bones at first, but things are going to be added to it as you go along. And you want to keep people updated and all that kind of stuff. So a regular fireside chat where you could explain these things a little bit in more detail, and bring Canadians into your plan, you know give them uh, regular progress reports, right? If you're from the boardroom, this is something, uh, as a CEO, that I assume Mark Carney might have got quite appreciated receiving regular updates on how things are going, and therefore, if one would say, yeah, here's the thing. A lot of people have been saying run Canada like a business, and you don't want to do that because a nation is not a business. But if you take some of the best elements of business and try to apply them to public realm in a way that can work, sometimes there are certain elements that are there. And when the prime minister, if you remember, in his meeting in the Oval Office with Donald Trump, when Donald Trump was talking about that 51st state stuff, and Prime Minister opted to talk to Donald Trump in the language he can understand, the language of real estate, and saying that but there are some properties that are never for sale, like say here, the White House, for example. To which Donald Trump had to acknowledge, well, yeah, that's true, right? There's um there's a way to push back, right? That's clever, and if you sit down and if you think about it enough, uh, and try to present, if you understand that someone is never going to come onto your terrain, but you can make your argument going onto the terrain or the turf of the other person, right? In this case, it can be particularly effective. Yes. Uh, so the prime minister uh, has these types of skills. Uh, he also has the skill of, if he's around the boardroom and everybody's making the point, to be able to take the discussion and do a synthesis of it, and making sure that he's taking elements from everyone, and presenting it back in such a way that everybody feels heard. Everybody's wondering, like, how does he have this magic with Danielle Smith and all the premiers? It's probably that skill here that he's using. It's his boardroom skills. Um, so yeah, he's choosing to talk to us directly, and as I've mentioned before, he doesn't dumb it down for us, right? He he brings it down from the academic level, yes, absolutely, uh, but doesn't need to talk to us as if we're in grade 3, right? He assumes that we are intelligent enough to be able to follow him. So these uh, elements here, the talking directly to Canadians, uh, is also a form of participative management in one sense. Uh, if there's a project that is going to take a long time to deliver results. And this project of turning our economy around and doing that kind of pivot is one that is going to take a while to deliver some results. We're going to have some things that are going to happen sooner rather than later. As we mentioned before on our show, there was a big announcement for uh, the Contrecoeur project in Montreal, the expansion of that port. It seems that everything is cleared, and the prime minister recently had a press conference to announce that that is the first major project that is underway. Of course, he announced earlier in the year that the project involving the Mackenzie Valley Road is going to break ground this year. Also announced, I think that some stuff for the Darlington project would start next year, and we also have a target date of, I think, 3 or 4 years for the project to start breaking ground on the Alto train, at least the leg between Ottawa and Montreal, which was about half the time that was originally planned for the start. So, if this goes the full term, these three projects, at least, should have some shovels in the ground. Maybe Contrecoeur might even be complete by then. By that point, you never know. And of course, other ones might will have started along the way as well. You know, there'll be all the stuff with regard to defense because we have the Defense Investment Agency and the Build Canada Homes thing and all those other projects on the side. But right now, I'm just talking about the things that are going through the major projects office, whether or not they need an application of Rule C5 or not. Because Pierre Poilièvre seems to be making a distinction between if they didn't need C5 specifically to be applied in order to get them through, then they don't count as a project. It seems to him, yeah, unless he's counting conservative projects from the past. Then the bar for that is much lower. When he comes up with his number, it's really interesting to watch him go on that. We might show that here today. So let's take a look at what Prime Minister Mark Carney had to offer us. Uh, Now, with this, uh, I like the timing of this specifically uh, because, like I mentioned before, rarely do you get an opportunity to make a first impression for the second time. And while this is not a first impression for the second time, Mark Carney has had a couple of opportunities over the past little bit to make first impressions. When he went on to the Daily Show, right, he had his first impression as someone officially entering the realm of politics. Um, and then, as a candidate for the Liberal leadership, made a first impression, you know, as a political candidate, somebody that would be competing to win a nomination. Um, and then he won, made a first impression as prime minister. Um, then went into an election campaign. Again, one could call that a first impression as a campaigner, even though he did make it to again win the party leadership. But this is on a whole other level here. And then we have a minority government, and he makes a first impression as a prime minister of minority government. And now he has a majority designate government, right? He doesn't have the majority government yet, technically, because the three MPs have not yet been sworn in. And the standing orders, I believe it is, on how committees will be formed have not been changed yet. So he's not yet in full majority government position, but we know that that's where things are going based on election results. Um, and so he gets to make a first impression as prime minister of a majority government. And his first move, as you all know, was to go on the same terrain that Pierre Poilievre was going on to with reducing gas taxes and choosing to reduce the gas excise tax. And that came into effect yesterday, actually, 10 cents off a liter. of gas and 4 cents off diesel. There will also be a reduction on jet fuel, and this will continue until about September 7th, Labor Day. So it is a time limited assistance to be able to offer immediate relief for a price that is rising, that is very visible because it's posted on the side of the road pretty much everywhere you go. Um, and to not leave the full terrain strategically communication wise to Pierre Poilièvre and the Conservatives on that particular affordability issue. Um, so we have that coming into effect. That has come into effect yesterday. Um, so the prime minister, trying to make sure that he's done that. That's his first step, and then his second major step, it appears, is to report back to Canadians and to announce here that this is going to be a regular thing for him. That he's going to try to do on a somewhat regular basis, talking to us. Um, this has prompted some concerns from people in the media that uh, this is a way to bypass the media and all that kind of stuff. And yes, that is true to bring your message directly. A lot of people come back to Harper and said people complained when Harper did that. Yes, that is true. People did complain when Harper did that. There is a big difference, however, between Mark Carney and Stephen Harper, at least at the current moment. Number one, well, a couple of differences. Number one, the Liberals and Mark Carney are not trying to bring us Sun TV or Fox News North as a thing. The Prime Minister has not started his Prime Ministership with a policy of taking only 5 questions. 5 is all you get, right? Our Prime Minister seems to like taking questions and actually giving long answers and substantive answers and putting some meat on the bone. And there seems to be no, at the moment, sort of control freakish relationship with the media, as was, or outright disdain for it, as was the case with the Conservatives in the Harper era. Now, if, as a majority government leader, Mark Carney starts taking only 5 questions a day or has much fewer press availabilities and all that kind of stuff and starts doing more of these videos, then you have something to complain about. But at the moment, if these videos are going to be in addition to everything that Mark Carney is already doing and not necessarily in lieu of, um, this is a great element to add to the communications toolbox for the Liberals, and personally, I'm very glad it's taken place. So we're going to go take a look at it, kids and cubs, and see what the Prime Minister had to say. There is, if you've been following this, like you follow this show, there's probably not going to be much new here. What's new is the actual communication strategy. And if you're wondering who this is probably not for the pundits. It's probably not for the political junkies like me who follow this every day. But this is probably for, if you're talking about, again, the typical Joe and Jane Canadian, they're working their job, working their overtime, or working more than one job. I got the kids at home, maybe kids and parents at home, maybe pets as well. Um, you know, uh, a commute there and back. The day is long, and there's not a lot of time to check in with the news and to follow things on a regular basis, particularly a plan like this that's developing over time. And, you know, you want it. What has he been doing? I've been hearing this Poilièvre guy all over on TV saying, he's been here for a year and he's got nothing done, nothing accomplished. What's he been up to? This is basically the what's he been up to over the last year video. So it takes a lot of things and puts them all together in a bit more of a condensed format. And again, but talking one on one with Canadians, uh, and in a manner that is uh, very respectful. One of the things we talk about on this show a lot is the battle of tone battle of tone and countertone when you're in politics. So Pierre Poilievre is coming with a tone, and Mark Carney is coming with a tone, and you can either choose your tones independently, or you can choose your tone based on what the other person is putting out there, like this, and try to counter that tone. So Pierre is running all around, and everything is broken, and oh my God, everything Mark Carney does is terrible, and oh my God, I can't believe we have somebody that's so badly educated on economics doing everything wrong. And you have Roman Baber coming up and going, our last hope is Pierre Poilièvre to save the right. All this, the world is ending type rhetoric, and as the world is going a little cray cray, we can all see. You have Mark Carney, and it's like, yeah, I feel you. World's going a little cray, but if we just stop, breathe, assess the situation, make a plan, be ready to be nimble if things outside change. This, but we can control what we can control. Let's make a plan. Let's have a clear-eyed analysis of what's going on. Let's see the world as it is. Let's make a plan to respond it. Let's start putting the things in place. And hey, if something doesn't work, we'll change that. Or if we have to add something, we'll do that. Yes, but let's not panic, and let's just go ahead with the plan, because when we panic, our mind is not clear to see what's coming down the road, and our mind is not clear to see all the options and to make the best decisions. The world around us is going a little nuts, but don't worry. We've got this. It's not the first time the world has gone nuts. We've got through this before. We can again. And here's how. And I believe that we can do this because I believe in you. Because I've seen you guys do it before. Right? It's a very, very, very... if we're talking about tone and countertone, which tone do you prefer at this moment when everything around you seems to be spinning out of control? Everything's broken. We're all going to die. Ah! Or, okay, yeah, I understand that, but maybe this is not as bad as we think it is. Maybe there's an opportunity here. Like this, let's just breathe. So we have two different tones. So let's look at the tone that Prime Minister Mark Carney is bringing to the table here.
I know from experience that outside forces can sometimes seem overwhelming. My previous jobs at the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England was part of my duties to make regular public reports on what we were doing to manage the economy. And I remember during the financial crisis, when there was a real risk of panic, I developed a practice called forward guidance. It was designed to assure people that however difficult the situation seemed on any given day, that we were acting, and importantly, that we would continue to act with overwhelming force against our problems until they were solved. And that's the spirit I'm talking to you about today. Security can't be achieved by ignoring the obvious or downplaying the very real threats that we Canadians face. I promise you, I will never sugarcoat our challenges. Instead, I will talk with you directly and regularly about our plan, why we're doing what we're doing, what's working, what isn't, and what we're going to do next. So here's the current situation. The world, as I said earlier, is more dangerous and divided.
All right. So there you can see here, Prime Minister sort of telling us here that this is something that he is going to do regularly, in terms of talking to us, telling us, why it is. And you see the amount of respect with which he is coming to us with this, right? Not, I'm your prime minister and I'm doing all these wonderful things and you should know about it so that you can be grateful to me, right? It's, I'm working on your behalf, and, there's a lot going on, and I feel it's my responsibility to you as the shareholders of Canada, if we're talking boardroom talk here, to give you regular reports on how the company, if we're running Canada like a company, is doing. I'm down with that from my Prime Minister. Let's see what else he has to say. But I like being approached in this manner.
The U.S. has fundamentally changed its approach to trade, raising its tariffs to levels last seen during the Great Depression. Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses, weaknesses that we must correct. Workers in our industries most affected by U.S. tariffs, in autos, in steel, in lumber, are under threat. Businesses are holding back investments, restrained by the pall of uncertainty that's hanging over all of us. The U.S. has changed, and we must respond. Canada Strong is our plan to build Canada by Canadians, for Canadians. It will attract new investment so we can build more for ourselves, striking new partnerships abroad so we can sell into new markets. It's about taking back control of our security, our borders, and our future. There are some who say there's no need for a comprehensive plan. They believe we should wait it out in the hope that the United States will return to normal, that the good old days will come back. But hope isn't a plan, and nostalgia is not a strategy. And the days that young Canadians have known all their lives haven't been that good. Their lifetimes have been marked by a series of shocks and crises from abroad. The Iraq War, the global financial crisis, COVID, and now this. We have to take care of ourselves because we can't rely on one foreign partner. We can't control the disruption coming from our neighbors. We can't bet our future on the hope that it will suddenly stop.
Okay, so just taking a little break there to note here that the Prime Minister in that segment spoke directly to younger Canadians. The Prime Minister really needs to do this a whole lot more often, highlighting the fact that he gets that their experience of the world is way different than his or mine. Based on all these world crises that have taken place. There's a reason why younger Canadians are a whole lot more insecure. There's a reason why Pierre Poilièvre had good success initially tapping in to that demographic. He's starting to lose them now because after all this time of repeating the same message, and them having a chance to see how that message has worked out for people who have supported it around the world, they're not that into it anymore. They realized that the answers were maybe just a little too simple. That Pierre Poilièvre was playing the politics of saying what you want to hear, and not giving it to you straight, like the Prime Minister said here earlier on, that he was not going to sugarcoat anything. So yeah. This is something that the Prime Minister does need to do just a little bit more often if he has the opportunity to keep on ensuring that he is talking to that demographic specifically, and that he is representing their issues and letting them know that even though he's from a different generation, he's very much aware of what is going on. So I backed it up a little bit just to catch the bit of phrase that the Prime Minister was starting down, so that we get the full sentence here.
But we can control what happens here. We can build a stronger country that can withstand disruptions from abroad, that creates good jobs here at home, that's a leader in this new world with a vast network of reliable allies. That's the Canada Strong plan we're putting into action.
Again, focus on the word here, reliable allies. Prime Minister, not the first time he's focused on that particular word in a speech. Right, back to what the Prime Minister is saying here.
We're putting into action. Its goals are ambitious: to catalyze $1 trillion in investment, to create one Canadian economy out of 13, to build new trade and energy corridors, and to double the size of our clean energy capacity. Yes, that's ambitious. But in a crisis, fortune favors the bold. And there's comfort and confidence to be found in our country's history. After all, our ancestors built an improbable country in an inhospitable land where people were free to live their own lives. When I get into the office, I always look at this statue on my desk. It was given to me by Mike Myers just over a year ago. And this is General Isaac Brock. Brock was a hero who fought and gave his life for our forebears in the War of 1812. Before Canada even existed on paper, it had a shape in Brock's imagination. Faced with the threat of an American invasion, Brock built alliances across our land and inspired what would eventually become Canada. Others carried that effort forward. People like General de Salaberry, citizens like the Voltigeurs, who defended Châteauguay, and Indigenous heroes such as Chief Tecumseh, who united Indigenous nations across the Great Lakes to resist U.S. expansion and protect their lands. They battled together against a common foe, and by doing so, they made our life today possible. This statue of General Brock that I see every morning in the Prime Minister's office reminds me that when we're united as Canadians, we can withstand anything. Long before Confederation, our country was forged by Indigenous peoples, coureurs de bois and voyageurs, who mapped their continent and built vast trading networks from coast to coast to coast before the Americans had even left St. Louis. When the Second World War ended, Canada was ambitious, determined, and united in a mission to build big things. The St. Lawrence Seaway, Trans-Canada Highway, Expo 67, the CN Tower. We built new neighborhoods for hundreds of thousands of veterans and their families. And we opened new universities to launch their careers. We've begun to make big structural changes in the Canadian economy. And they're
all right. So people who have been following the show will be familiar with the Prime Minister going back into our history, showing that we have been able to build before. And of course, framing this in a context using Sir Isaac Brock of, past times where we have faced pressure or an existential threat from the American side of the border, and how we've come together at the time, not necessarily as Canadians, because Canada wasn't Canada at that point, but, that sort of what was going to be Canada, and, pushing back against it and winning, right? So again, we've done this before. This is it. It seems hard. It seems tough. It seems impossible. But we did it. And Todd Maffin actually has a great piece, if you haven't seen it, about Sir Isaac Brock. The part of the story that we might not know is that, according to Todd Maffin, at least, it was the most successful military bluff in Canadian military history, along with the Indigenous people and allies. They created a situation that made it look like there were so many more of them than there actually were, and then basically sent a message saying, we've allied with Indigenous people up here. Of course, he didn't refer to them as that at the time, and once we give the order to go, I can't be responsible for what it is they do. And it seems that that was enough to get the white flag of surrender to pop up from a. I think I can't remember what his military rank was, but the commanding officer on the other side, last name was Hull, Hull, I believe, and therefore, stood up. And we stood up for ourselves, and it worked. So going into that history here, but when he's talking, when you saw those numbers appear on the screen at the beginning of that, saying that he wanted to attract $1 trillion of investment, not only does he want to attract $1 trillion of investment over the next 5 years, I think it is, or 6 years. Maybe it's 10. I can't remember now how many years he wanted to do that. But a lot of people immediately look at that number and say that's impossible. But it seems that it may not be impossible, because the Prime Minister, as you know, in his first press availability after securing his majority, wasn't there to gloat. Right, it was that press conference where he had François-Philippe Champagne and Tim Hodgson behind him, where he learned that Pierre Poilièvre had said that he was badly educated on economics, and he had that reaction like, "Oh, really? Wow!" That press conference, the Prime Minister's message here was that it was time to get serious now. And to show that he's getting serious, it seems that one of the ways that he's going to aim to secure that $1 trillion in investment is by hosting a major global summit that will be held in Toronto, which will be the first ever Canada Investment Summit itself. He's got the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, or CPP Investments, and the Public Service Pension Investment Board, or PSP Investments, to jointly host the summit along with the government. Uh, Private investment firms, the big ones such as BlackRock, have already said that they're coming, as well as some of the world's biggest sovereign wealth funds, including that of Singapore. According to RBC, and here's the thing that is interesting. Uh, According to RBC, if we do everything right and we are able to, put a check mark on pretty much all of those projects, uh, we could actually, there's enough out there to attract $1.8 trillion in investment. The Prime Minister is aiming for $1 trillion. There's possibility to come almost close to double that. That's so the Prime Minister, when he's saying 1 trillion, he's potentially being rather conservative about how much money is actually out there. And it's 1 trillion over the next 5 years. Got the announcement for the investment summit here. It says Canada has what the world wants. We are a superpower in both clean and conventional energy with vast deposits of critical minerals. We have free trade deals with countries covering 1.5 billion people and are the most tax competitive country in the G7 for new business investment. We have one of the world's most educated workforces, the lowest net to GDP ratio in the G7, and the fiscal capacity to act decisively. Our government is ensuring that these strengths benefit all Canadians as we build a Canada for all. To that end, the Prime Minister announced that the first ever Canada Investment Summit will take place from September 14th to 15th, 2026 in Toronto, Ontario. The summit will convene the world's largest investors, including top CEOs, entrepreneurs, and prominent global business leaders. The summit is focused on attracting new investment into Canada to advance Canada's nation-building projects, create new career opportunities for Canadians, and grow our economy. The summit will be hosted by, as I mentioned, the federal government in partnership with the CPP and PSP Investment, two of Canada's largest and most sophisticated institutional investors. Over the past year, Canada's new government embarked on a clear mission to position Canada as a top destination for foreign direct investment. This summit builds on the progress over the past 12 months. Canada secured more than 20 new economic and defense partnerships and $97 billion in foreign investment commitment. Canada's new government is building a stronger, more independent, and more resilient country. The Canada Investment Summit is critical to that mission. It will attract investment into major projects and industries that make us more competitive: clean energy, critical minerals and new technologies, and artificial intelligence. These are the sectors that create thousands of new high-paying careers, empowering Canadians to build the future they want for themselves and a stronger, more prosperous Canada for all. And according to the Minister of International Trade, Maninder Sidhu, he says the Canada Investment Summit sends a signal that Canada is a serious economic partner, there's that word again, serious, on the global stage. At a time of unprecedented trade disruptions, our bold mission to unlock $1 trillion in new capital will create growth, good jobs, and long-term prosperity for Canadians. Canada has what the world needs, and we are rising to that call by building a stronger Canada for all. It's one of the reasons why some of our first projects are working on the infrastructure that would be required to get these products out of the country and into the market. According to CBC's Peter Armstrong, who's the lead on business there, let's see if we have a bit more. It says that invitations were sent out this week, and none of the invited parties had responded to CBC News before publication. So not enough time has gone by to actually get a good answer here. It says here, the summit is part of a broader effort to draw global investment back to Canada as the world grapples with deeper uncertainty and global volatility. Carney has been meeting with world leaders and private businesses during his trips abroad in an effort to attract more investment to Canada. And this is one of the things when Pierre Poilièvre keeps on turning around and go, Mark Carney said he could do all these things. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? Where's the beef? This is the beef here. This is Mark Carney using his international contact list and the credibility that only he has, based on the fact that he is such a badly educated economist, to bring all these people to Canada. Not that the event itself, of the summit itself, won't be a big business generating event for the city in which it's going to be held and for the nation as a result on its own. But we have a prime minister that has the contacts and that convening power. Pierre keeps on talking to us like that doesn't exist or like we wouldn't be aware of that. Pierre Poilièvre would not be able to send invitations out at some point in the last 4 days. Is this? See that? 4 days before April 7th. So send out invitations on April 13th to the world's largest private investment firms and sovereign wealth funds to tell them to come to Canada a few months from now. And it could be a thing. He doesn't have that power or that credibility or that legitimacy. He said the summit will pitch Canada Incorporated to investment firms looking for a safe, reliable place to grow an increasingly unstable word. And there's that other word again, reliable. There's some words that are coming out a lot, right? Trusted, legitimate, reliable, serious. You hear these words a lot coming from this government. Again, tone, countertone, juxtaposition with the opposition. We want to showcase what Canada offers to the world of global investors, he told CBC News in an exclusive interview. It's a little bit like a large public company holding their investor day. The summit comes at a crucial time for the country, of course. And then, of course, here, Mariah Carey of TD Economics states here and supports what the Prime Minister is saying. For foreign direct investment in Canada reached the highest level since 2007, while Canada's outward investment flows cooled in 2025. Part of the drop-off in investment was at least initially due to the collapse in global oil prices in 2015, but critics say Liberal government policies at the time made the investment climate even worse by adding multiple layers of new regulation and uncertainty. Carney has vowed to change that. He has promised to streamline the approvals process. He launched the Major Projects Office and designated a suite of plans as being in the national interest. They range from the Contrecoeur Container Terminal project at the Port of Montreal to the McIlvenna Bay Foron copper mine project in Saskatchewan. But business leaders in Canada say plans, memorandums of understanding, and words alone are not enough. And so does Pierre. Goldie Hyder, the CEO of the Business Council of Canada, said a summit like this is a good opportunity to promote Canada and help fund those kinds of projects. He said the federal government has been saying many of the right things, but Canada needs to show investors that it is a country that can do and build big things, something he said it has repeatedly failed to do in the past. Hyder said he hopes this time is different. Quote, if we don't get our resources out of the ground expeditiously in an investment-friendly regulatory climate, we are going to miss the window one more time, and I don't know how lucky of a country we think we are, but we don't have the 9 lives of a cat, he said. Leduc said he hopes the conference tentatively titled the Canada Investment Summit will establish long-term relationships with some of the biggest names in investing. It's a 1 or 2 day event, but it's obviously more than that. We hope that it's the start of something bigger, something exciting that will catalyze and create bigger opportunities going forward over many years. Organizers did not want to get into which specific projects will be pitched and what, if any, projects are off limits. Quote, if you think of the big things we offer to the world, energy, superpower, sovereign AI, and data centers, we have one of the best financial sectors in the world, said Leduc. While summit organizers have not said which projects will be pitched, business leaders and analysts broadly agree on the sectors where Canada is under pressure to attract capital most urgently. The oil and gas industry has been calling for new investment in pipelines and LNG terminals, and despite a year's worth of talk, there's still no new proponent to build an oil pipeline to the west coast. New housing construction hit a new low last month in spite of the government's promises to build more, and Ottawa has promised to spend more than $80 billion in the defense sector over the next 5 years. Leduc said foreign investment firms have taken notice of Canada's plans. He believes the time is right for Canada to capitalize on that interest and draw in more investment from abroad. The summit is set to be held in Toronto in mid-September. Invitations under Carney's name may have already been sent out. And again, it's being hosted by CPPIB and PSP in collaboration with Invest Canada, an agency that promotes foreign direct investment in Canada. So there you go, kits and cups. And I guess we will see over the next weeks and months who confirms their attendance. But again, Mark Carney checking all the boxes on the things that are needed to be done in order to attract the investment that he needs. And as I mentioned, according to RBC, it seems that there is a lot more money out there, so we can afford to be even more ambitious. But that 1 trillion number seems to be actually rather reasonable. And this summit, as I mentioned here, hopefully, at least Danielle Smith hopes, will attract the type of investment that she has not been able to attract on her own to get that pipeline built that she wants. Indeed. It's also a great opportunity for the federal government to show that it can work with provincial and territorial governments, and that they could show they can work with the federal government, something that the Canadian population really wants to see in order to attract that capital. So that will also be a feather in Prime Minister Carney's cap with regard to how the Canadian public is going to see him, again, as a pragmatist that's willing to work with other levels of government rather than dictate to them in order to be able to attract that investment. So yeah, very, very important here move. And important here to also note here that last year, the Toronto Stock Exchange was the top performing of the world stock markets and has gotten off to a good start this year. So the climate right now is particularly good for wanting to attract investment to Canada. So the Prime Minister here striking while it is hot, in order to make sure that we can gain the capital that we need so that we can realize our ambitions. Let's keep going here in what the Prime Minister has to say.
Begun to make big structural changes in the Canadian economy, and they're all designed to make us stronger at home and less reliant on the United States. On housing, we're taking a solution from the past, modernizing it, and creating a new housing agency to build affordable homes faster and transform the housing sector in the process. It's already up and running. And though we have a ways to go yet, housing affordability is already improving. For example, asking rents across Canada at their lowest level in nearly 3 years. On energy and infrastructure, we're removing roadblocks that have been getting in the way of big projects. On trade, to sell our goods and create new jobs, we're building relationships with other countries. We've signed 20 new deals on 4 continents in less than a year because Canada has what the world wants, from energy to education. We have the values to which most of the world aspires. And we're a reliable partner in a world that is anything but. We're defending Canadian sovereignty by investing in our security and creating an industry to support it. We've embarked on an ambitious new mission to rebuild, rearm, and reinvest in the Canadian Armed Forces, with the single largest increase in defense investment in generations. As a result, recruitment to serve our country is already up 13%. This is the first time since the fall of the Berlin Wall that Canada will be spending what our allies expect and what we need for our defense. And we're just getting started. Our defense strategy will catalyze $500 billion in investment in Canada over the next decade. Our plan for Canada is gaining momentum, and it will work. But we are not going to fix all our problems tomorrow. And there will be setbacks along the way. The biggest payoffs will take time. So we know that Canadians need a boost today and a bridge to tomorrow. That's why, as we build a stronger economy, we're focused on lowering costs for Canadians. On day one in office, we canceled the consumer carbon tax. We cut taxes for 22 million middle-class Canadians, saving a 2-income family up to $840 this year. We've cut taxes for first-time homebuyers, saving them up to $50,000 on their first homes. We've reduced tolls for vehicles on the Confederation Bridge and cut fares by 50% on ferries in Atlantic Canada. We've launched something called automatic federal benefits. What it does is it will help 5.5 million low-income Canadians get the benefits that they're entitled to. We've made the National School Food Program permanent, feeding 400,000 children and saving their parents $800 a year on groceries. We're protecting the social programs that give every Canadian a fair chance to get ahead. Childcare, dental care, and pharmacare.
So here, kids and cubs, very succinctly here, the Prime Minister goes through the various affordability measures that he has been brought in, because the Conservatives again like to say that nothing has been done, so you have it all here in one concise package. And specifically, when the Prime Minister earlier on in that segment was talking about rents and stuff like that, and more affordable housing, the data is there to support him in that. According to Uday Rana of Global News, this was an article published March 9th. But it says the average rent in Canada fell to a 33-month low in February, marking the 17th consecutive month of declines, the new report says. And for the first time in 6 years, many Canadians are now spending less than 30% of their income on rent. Average asking rents for all property types in Canada fell to $2,030 in February. The monthly rental report by rentals.ca and Urban Nation released on Monday, that was Monday in early March, said. Compared to January, rents fell by 1.3%, the largest drop for the month of February since 2029. In February, the average rent represented 29% of household income for renters, falling below the industry's 30% affordability benchmark for the first time in more than 6 years, the report said. Some of Canada's largest rental markets saw the steepest declines, with Toronto rents falling by 7.9% compared to this time last year across all property types to $2,482. Rents for one bedrooms in Toronto declined by 6.9% to $2,201. Despite a steep decline of 7.6% compared to this time last year, Vancouver remained the most expensive major market in this country, with an average rent coming in at $2,672 a month across all property types and $2,376 for one bedrooms. Quote, Canada is undergoing its largest downturn in rents in recent history, said Sean Hildebrand, professor of Urban Nation. The supply that everyone has been waiting for so long has arrived at a time when demand has slowed, creating a rare opportunity for renters to take advantage of better affordability. So there you go. So there has been progress on these fronts, despite the fact that Pierre wants you to believe that absolutely nothing of worth has been done in all of this time. Important notes here from the Prime Minister. And just putting that again, if you haven't been able to follow anything, what has the government done for me over the last year, you just listen to that 2 or 3 minute segment here, and you get an idea of what all those things actually were, and how that's a lot actually for 1 year. All right, let's keep going with what the Prime Minister has to say here.
Have everything we need here at home. Most of all, we have each other. Canadians are the hardest working, best educated people in the world. We care deeply about each other and about our country. And Canadians have responded to this crisis with that spirit. We're buying Canadian. We're investing Canadian. We're exploring Canadian. Canadians everywhere are all in. We all desire a better country. We've been a great neighbor, always willing to help our friends in their times of need. We've stood shoulder to shoulder with our allies in some of the toughest circumstances imaginable, in Kandahar, on Juno Beach, and at Vimy Ridge. We've been a beacon to the world with our values and our ability to always overcome incredible challenges. The situation today feels unique, but we've faced down threats like this before. And in the weeks and months ahead, I'm going to want to talk with you again. I know you have busy lives and you don't need daily interruptions from me. But the truth is, there's a lot going on in the world, and not all of it is good. And the stakes could not be higher. The way we're going to get through this is together. There's much forward guidance to be found in our shared history. We will get through this because of who we have always been. A country of tough, decent, caring people. People who grow stronger in adversity. It's our country. It's our future. We are taking back control to build Canada strong. It's already working. Let's keep going. Thank you for your time. I know it's precious.
And once again, we have the Prime Minister at the end of this thanking us for our time, because he knows our time is precious. When we all know that the Prime Minister's most valuable asset is his own time. And he chose to spend some of that communicating directly to us. No flash, no fanfare. Just a straight report back. Here's how we're doing. Here's the plan. Here's where we are. Here's what we still need to do. Yeah. Definitely. We're doing okay. We're doing okay here. Yes. We have some new people here too. Hi, True Canadian. And I'm not sure if Golden Phoenix Rising is still with us because at the time that I'm looking at the comments, it's a little earlier in the show. And well, apparently somebody believes that people in a podcast chat have an obligation to protect someone's individual right to free speech, which of course is not true. Just saying. The free speech laws are with regard to your government. They do not obligate any individual citizen to allow you to come into their home or their territory or into their space and just behave in whatever way you would like and say whatever you would like without being opposed or being told, sorry, but that type of behavior is just not welcome here. Thank you. Um, the, a lot of people talk free speech don't seem to understand that the right to walk into a room and claim I get to say everything I want because free speech is not what our free speech laws mean. Like at all. It's like you have to you have to guarantee you are allowed to say what you want to say. You're guaranteed that. You're not guaranteed either a platform or an audience. You can say it, but there's no obligation for anyone to listen to you or have to entertain you. The free speech law doesn't come with an obligation on anybody other's part than to allow you to say it, and it's about your speech being controlled by government, not individual entities that will just turn around. Sorry, that type of speech is just not welcome in our space, the space that we control, our private space that we choose to open to the public. But it's our private space. Just a little note there. So yeah, whether it's a tone or anything else that's being used to indicate that speech, it's not the speech, right? It's the behavior, because speech is also a behavior. If you're coming into a room for the sole purpose of announcing your presence and being disruptive and trying to lead everybody away from the conversations, the pleasant conversations they were already having, so that they must deal with yours, again, then it's not about what you're saying. It's about what you're doing and how you're presenting yourself. And people are allowed to tell you, "I'm sorry. I respect what your right to say what you want to say, no matter how much I disagree it. But I do not have to tolerate you coming into our space and trying to suck up all the oxygen and making everything about you. So thank you, but that's about all we'll need to hear from you today. You have the rest of the internet for that, but you will not be doing that here." So yeah, that's pretty much how things work around here. That type of how you put it. I think it's cute when people come in here and do that, because it's like, oh, you think that's going to work here? That's cute, but no, that's sorry. That's we're not impressed by that, positively or negatively. It's just, oh, that again. Okay, and then we deal with it and we move on, and that's about it. Um, so we have the Prime Minister here that has chatted. And then, of course, we have the leader of the opposition come out and do his thing. Now, clearly, the leader of the opposition was very somewhat triggered by this move by Mark Carney because that response came out really quickly. One thing about Mark Carney's video that I would like to point out, however, kits and cubs, um, and this is just in light of the whole Air Canada thing. Mark Carney did his video once in French and once in English, which is very commendable. But for the people on his team who put the video up, um, just like to point out here, and I'm not sure let's see here. Not sure. I'm trying to make the screen bigger. There we go. If you look here, the video is called La Ligne de Conduite, but the description, the line of conduct with Prime Minister Mark Carney during my tenure as governor, and they didn't change the description. So the description's still in English, the title is in English, and the line of conduct is not a proper translation. It really is for guidance. So this is a line of conduct. It's like somebody put it in an automatic translator. Someone might want to take a look at that and address that before it becomes another complaint or scandal or scandalette. But yeah, when you do the video in French, but you need to put the video title and description in the text in French as well. Just saying. But at least the important part is done. Oh my word. Geez. Okay. So Pierre Poilièvre clearly taken issue with this because wait a minute, what are you doing? That's my turf. I'm the one that makes the videos where I talk to Canadians about what's on my mind. Pierre Poilièvre, it didn't take him long to get something out that was supposed to be a response to this. He calls it, the videos here is called Prime Minister, It's Time at Home. And when you're looking at it on the web, the thumbnail says no more illusions on it because illusions has become Pierre Poilièvre's favorite word. However, again, I'm going to present this, and now again, I'm talking about tone, countertone, and contrast. You know how the Prime Minister was sitting there, and you got the camera angle, right? He's sort of like sitting there. He's like sort of on the side here, talking to us. Laid back, right? I mean, as laid back as the Prime Minister is in this situation. I can't say that he's necessarily, hanging back in his chair as he's talking to us, like I had. But he's a little bit on. Let's just put the image up here for a second here, so I can see here and show you what I'm talking about. So he's a bit on an angle, not directly facing us, which creates a little more relaxed. He's got the top button undone, which is like going really wild for a banker. No tie, even though he's got his blazer, got his hands clasped. Just a room, little bookshelf. Again on the corner. Not this big display of books behind him. So look how educated and smart I am. He's got a PhD from Oxford. We all know he's educated and smart. He doesn't need 70,000 books behind him to show it, right? But it's, again, for a central banker, right? This is relaxed mode here. So now we have Pierre Poilièvre, and Pierre Poilièvre. How would I put it? It really is more like it's showtime. So you'll see here, got the Canadian flags behind him. Prime Minister doesn't have it in this one, in his. He is standing, he is sitting fully up. I noticed that I'm fuzzy here. I'm going to fix that. Fully up, looking straight onto the camera. Um, Almost, I hate to say the word hyper erect and Pierre in the same sentence, but and I don't know what it is about this guy. It's just right off the bat. I mean, again, you just see him sitting there like this. That's how, if you have it on freeze right at the beginning, like that's the first thing you see, and it just looks so smarmy and dickish to start off with. Oh my God. Listen to a few minutes of this.
Minister released yet another video that repeated the same speech that he's been giving for the last year about the U.S. He recited.
Okay. Prime Minister Pierre Poilièvre starts this by complaining that the Prime Minister has made yet another video. The guy who's infamous for making videos stops to make a video to complain that the Prime Minister, who makes far fewer videos than the guy who's making this video to complain about the Prime Minister making a video, makes. That's how he opens. The Prime Minister repeating the same speech, because Pierre is not about to repeat the same type of stuff he already says in this yet another video he is making to tell us yet again about how the Prime Minister sucks, and obviously whining and complaining that the Prime Minister is making videos because, hey, that's my turf. And of course, you will notice that in this video, Pierre is the one that adopts a different behavior because he's not walking at us and pointing his fingers and flapping. He's actually sitting behind a desk. He has the tie on and the Canada stuff and whatnot, and the Parliament buildings in the back to try to present himself as more prime ministerial than the Prime Minister. I mean, the Prime Minister looks downright casual compared to Pierre. Right? So let's continue hearing Pierre talk about how it is that he is so wonderful and so great, and how the Prime Minister is just a terrible, terrible person.
The same promises and reused the same old lines, this time with a little more dramatic flair. There was even a nude figurine on display. But it was all strangely timed for the day before Statistics Canada inflation data would show that in March, we again had the worst food price inflation in the G7. Now, other G7 countries face the same global problems of tariffs and wars, but none are seeing the rise at the grocery stores Liberals have imposed here at home. Now, it's not surprising that the Prime Minister wants to distract from his costly failures by pushing fear and re-upping his rhetoric yesterday.
Okay. Is anyone blinded by the light of projection here? The Prime Minister's doing did that video to distract from his failures, says the guy who blew a 26-point lead and lost his seat and had his party lose the election, then had to kick someone out of his seat because he had to rig a sure thing to make sure he got a seat again, then lost some MPs, then had to rig a leadership review convention to create the impression he had 87% support from the grassroots, then lost more MPs. Then had his vote crater in a by-election, then handed a majority to his political rival. And now, according to public opinion polling, if an election were held today, is leading his party to his under 100-seat performance. But it's Mark Carney who needs to distract. Girl. Oh, man. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And of course, Pierre making the comment, oh, he did it with more dramatic flair. Yeah, because that was tons of dramatic flair there we watched from Mark Carney. You had trouble keeping him in his seat there in that video. Because Pierre Poilièvre, who does videos, uses a homeless camp as his backdrop, right? He's not the one who has dramatic flair when he makes these videos. He's not the one who's ready for his close-up now, Mr. DeMille. Right? Oh my God, the projection. Oh boy, it's big with this one. Okay, we're only at 46 seconds, kits and cubs. We're only at 46 seconds. Yay.
But let's compare that rhetoric to the reality. He promised to double home building, but his own housing agency now expects home building to fall 18%. He promised to build big projects, but what's really getting built? His new major projects office has approved not one single new major project, not one major pipeline, not one major development, nothing. He has not removed a single Trudeau-era anti-development law, but he has stacked new laws on top of old ones. He's not removed a single government agency or bureaucracy, but he instead has created 12 new ones. And speaking of the pipeline to the Pacific, that great symbol of our national energy sovereignty, after a year of Mark Carney's promise to do unprecedented speeds, the project has no route, no permit, no builder, no timeline to start building, and no end date to complete it.
And yet, Pierre Poilièvre, every chance he gets, says, get out of the way. Of what? Pierre just acknowledged the state of the pipeline. There is nothing to approve. But for the last few months, Pierre's been going around saying, I would approve it, I would approve it. Just get out of the way and approve it. Approve what? There's nothing to approve. And of course, Pierre wants you to believe that this is Mark Carney's fault. But right now, that MOU is in the hands of Danielle Smith, and she is the one that has to come back with some proposals on things that she herself put her name and her signature to, saying that she would, but that she needs more time. But apparently, according to Pierre Poilièvre, this is Mark Carney's fault, or this reality does not exist. But there's nothing to be approved here. In this section, he complains about a lot of things here, right? Uh, he says that not one major project has been approved. Well, that's not true. That's not true at all. We just talked to you about the Contrecoeur terminal. It's the first project to be cleared. Now, Pierre Poilièvre seems to be sad that none of the laws required C5 to be invoked. None of the projects required C5 to be invoked in order to be approved. But the major projects office, that bureaucracy that he talks about that did nothing, is the office through which the Contrecoeur project went. It just didn't need to invoke C5. So that project has been approved. The Mackenzie Valley Highway, the ground will break on that. I don't know if it's officially been approved yet, or it's officially got to go ahead, but for the Contrecoeur one, all the permits have been granted. All the assessments have been done. It's going ahead. He says he hasn't removed any anti-development law. The consumer carbon price is gone. He's certainly willing to make exceptions to those rules. He goes, he has stacked new laws on top of old ones. He doesn't mention which one. He complains about the 12 new bureaucracies allegedly having been created. We mentioned that for the defense one, that submarine contract is sure going through at rates that nobody in the world has ever seen before from Canada. That's the objective assessment of the people participating in the process. So again, the things that he is stating are not true. And then he goes on not only to say that the pipeline has no builder and whatnot, but then he goes in to state something that even if we were to do a competitive bid, might taint the process because according to Pierre Poilièvre, at least, there is only one company. Only one company who could potentially build this pipeline. So, I mean, if that's the case, then why bother?
Timeline to start building and no end date to complete it. Enbridge, the only company capable of building it, says plainly that the Liberal laws and taxes that Mr. Carney has kept in place make it impossible to produce enough oil to fill a new pipeline. It's all an illusion. He also promised to negotiate a win with the U.S. by July 2025.
Okay, and then he goes back into all the type of stuff that we know Pierre typically says. Of course, Prime Minister never promised that he would have a deal for the 25th. That was just the first target date that was set. And of course, we know it didn't happen, not because the Prime Minister didn't want a deal, but because Donald Trump didn't want one. And that's the same reason for which we do not have a deal yet, because it is Donald Trump who walked away from the table. Right? We remained at the table. It was Donald Trump who walked away from the table. He pretended to be offended by a Doug Ford ad that a couple of days previously said he would have aired himself if the shoe was on the other foot. And then walked away from the table and never came back. That's not us. It's not because we didn't try that we do not have a deal at the moment. Pierre appears to forget that. He then goes on to say that he's squandered our leverage, which of course is not true. And then goes back to talk about himself saying, like, while he has talked about a plan to build the leverage to fight for tariff-free trade, but the problem with Pierre's plan is that we are being attacked right now. And Pierre's plan would probably require 10 or 11 years, if not more, for him to build the leverage he says that he would need to be able to bring Donald Trump to his knees. The leverage he claims that he would use to negotiate does not yet exist. So I'm not sure how he thinks that he will manage this. Then he goes, so let me ask you this. How many new trade deals with countries do you think he has negotiated in his year in office? And he says 0. Now, in order to do that, Pierre Poilièvre, of course, has to count only full, comprehensive, free trade deals, right? He's not counting all the memorandum of understandings, all these pacts, all this stuff, right? He says the last deal was the one with Indonesia that was signed by Justin Trudeau, and it will boost annual exports with the country, only enough just to replace 5 hours of exports to the US. Yes, at first. But Indonesia is also the fourth most populous country in the world. And as we develop our relationship with them, it will be more. He says there have been a dozen non-binding, unenforceable memorandums that announced a little more than press releases. But Pierre Poilièvre, I would ask him, is name me one comprehensive free trade agreement that started out without some type of MOU at the beginning, and several of them along the way. Pierre, if Pierre is only going to count comprehensive free trade deal agreements as deals, um, then one has to ask how many Pierre thinks he could get signed with how many nations within the space of a year, because I know of precisely zero comprehensive free trade agreements that have ever been gone from, hey, maybe should we have one, to one that's actually signed, sealed, and delivered and um, endorsed by a legislature. Um, I have not heard of one in my entire life. So again, when we're talking about, we have Mark Carney saying it's time to be serious, and you have Pierre Poilièvre coming on and saying, well, why don't we have a pipeline approved yet? And why don't we have this? Why don't we have more comprehensive free trade agreement deals made? And it's like, you show me a reality where you can go from absolute concept to finalized deal that has been ratified and shovels in the ground in 1 year. You find me a reality in which that happens, and in a manner that Canadian people would find acceptable without all those trade-offs. And then we can start to have a conversation. But until then, you're just basically asking, why can't pigs fly? Right? I'm just, I'm not. The expectation he is setting for the prime minister is a standard that no one can meet. And on top of that, he's presenting it as a standard that he could probably meet better than the prime minister. And I don't know how he comes to that conclusion, given that he has so very little and much less than does the prime minister to work with. This man is not presenting a serious offer here. He still goes into some speech about, eliminating all the various taxes and all that kind of stuff, canceling EV rebates and all that kind of stuff, just taking a pass on all the industries of the future. And then, one of the things here, he talks about projects, for example. And here, when I was talking about, just as his bar is so strict for Mark Carney, um, when it comes to what he considers a deal, right? It has to be an absolute, fully comprehensive trade agreement. Um, we're going to get Pierre Poilièvre a bit mid-sentence here. But he talks very briefly about the Harper era in this little passage here. And look, when he talks about the Harper era, how generous his frame is. All right. He's going to talk about a number of projects completed under the Harper era. Now, remember, he just said that absolutely no projects have gone through the Major Projects Office. Now we're talking about projects of national importance and scale and significance. Listen to what he has to say here, looking back at his time when he was in government under Stephen Harper.
Month approval times, repeal anti-development laws like C-69 and 48, and adopt a one project, one approval rule. As did Prime Minister Harper during the global financial crisis, 23,500 projects went from concept to completion in just over 2 years with no environmental or public safety problems.
23,500 projects. And yet not one of them was 1 inch of pipeline to Tidewater, said the narrator as he sipped his tea. Upgrading a curling club, regrooming a snowmobile trail. Those were the types of projects that were included in the Canada Economic Action Plan, right? They were community infrastructure projects. Pierre claims that there were 23,500 projects of the scale, and here the goal here is to say that they're similar to the scale of the projects that Mark Carney is aiming for here. Yeah, Stephen Harper, we got 23,500 of them approved. But Mark Carney can't get a single one of them. This is what Pierre wants you to believe. Again, with the direct, specific thing that Pierre is everything. Pipelines is the thing that we need to do if we want to save the economy. It's only pipelines, just pipelines. Pretty much. And of those 23,500 projects that Pierre is talking about, one of them happened to not be a pipeline. Wow. Absolutely fascinating here. Again, not serious at all. In addition, when he talks about those 23,500 projects, it's not like there isn't an initiative here in Canada to do the same thing. On April 7th, according to the Canadian Press, says Craig Lord, the federal government will address infrastructure gaps across Canada with billions of dollars in funding over the coming decade, Prime Minister Mark Carney said at a news conference in Brampton, Ontario. Carney used the event to break down how his government plans to dole out $51 billion in the Liberals' Build Community Strong Fund. The new pot of money was first announced in the 2025 budget, which became law last month. Ottawa plans to nearly double the rate of infrastructure investment in Canada over the next 8 years compared with the previous 8 years, Carney said. He teased that future announcements are coming on initiatives for skills training and apprenticeships and urged youth to consider career to support the infrastructure agenda. Quote, the next 25 to 30 years is going to be a great time to be in the trades, to be an electrician, to be a pipe fitter, to be a welder, to be a plumber, a carpenter, and beyond, because we're literally going to build this country, Carney said. The Build Community Strong Fund includes $27.8 billion over the next 10 years for infrastructure such as roads, bridges, water and sewer systems, and $6 billion for other major local projects like building retrofits and community centers. Carney's first announcement under this local stream was $64 million for a new recreation center and park in Brampton. The federal government announced $300 million in funding for 13 projects later in the day, more than a third of which will go towards water and wastewater systems underpinning new housing developments in Iqaluit. The federal government also launched a webpage allowing municipalities and other organizations to apply for new project funding under the stream. The remaining $17.2 billion in the fund is to be matched by provinces and territories and used to reduce the cost of building new infrastructure and housing. That includes $5 billion over 3 years to build out healthcare facilities, such as new emergency departments. The federal government announced last week that Ontario will use $4.4 billion of its allotment to waive sales taxes on eligible new homes for the next year. With $6 billion set aside for the province, Ontario will receive the biggest share from the provincial and territorial stream. Quebec will receive $3.6 billion, British Columbia will receive $2.2 billion, and Alberta will receive $1.9 billion, with hundreds of millions set aside for the remaining provinces and territories. Provinces and territories are required to allocate 20% of their funding to rural, northern, and Indigenous communities. 10% of funding through the $6 billion direct delivery stream must go to Indigenous-led projects. British Columbia MP Dan Albus, the Conservative Shadow Minister for Transport, criticized the infrastructure fund rollout, quote, as another re-announcement. Conservatives want our infrastructure, homes, and health to grow and improve, but the Carney Liberals need to get out of the way and scrap their anti-development laws and unaffordable taxes, Albus said in a statement. So basically, he said nothing. So yeah, these are the 23,500 projects. This is the type of fund that funds that type of thing that Pierre was bragging about. So not only is the Mark Carney government doing the thing that Pierre is claiming is not being done or that they did so well, but in addition to that, they're doing the projects of national importance, which the Harper government did not do in any way, shape, or form during its time here. Other than the National Museum for Human Rights in Winnipeg, I can't really think of a national project that took place under the Harper government. I'm sure that there are some, but I can't think of one. So yeah, that was Poilièvre's response. Clearly not the response of somebody who is serious, who has a serious offer, who has thought of a plan. This again just confirms my view of this particular leader as being lazy. He works hard, don't get me wrong, on a lot of stuff and trying to get the message out, but he's really, really lazy when it comes to actually forming his message. Right? He goes to the laziest, easiest things. Mark Carney is badly educated, rather than as somebody stated on one of those political pundit shows, trying to make the case, okay, nobody's going to believe that Mark Carney is badly educated, but maybe people would be more inclined to believe that Mark Carney is out of touch, given that he's a rich person. But then again, saying that Mark Carney is out of touch, you would have to prove that, and you would have to come with examples, and you would have to build that case over time. And well, that requires work. So just say Mark Carney is dumb. And you at home are smarter than he is because you know the reality of what it's like to try to make ends meet. And I'm definitely smarter than Mark Carney because I wouldn't do the dumb things he's been doing. Right? Pierre Poilièvre wants you to believe that Mark Carney drove inflation crazy when he was the governor of the Bank of England. But if you actually go and look at the numbers, inflation was really, really low when he was there. He wants you to believe that everybody in the UK hated him. No, that wasn't the case. There was people who didn't like what it is he had to say, and everybody hates a Cassandra. But he was right. Another complaint that he has is that Mark Carney said that COVID would lead to some price depreciation or something like that. It did for a couple of months, very, very, very briefly, but fortunately we had good economic stewardship in this country. But it did happen. We did reach that point. It just didn't last for very, very long because we responded. So yeah, Pierre Poilièvre not being serious here. Wow, there's a lot of time that's gone on those two. I had Doug Ford stuff and Avi Lewis stuff to bring you. But I don't want to go over time, so I'm a little confused here. I'm going to skip on the Doug Ford stuff today. I'll bring that to you tomorrow instead. But Doug Ford had a gravy train press conference that was very confusing, or Doug Ford seemed to be confused because he did not seem to be clear going into this thing, whether or not it was supposed to be a mea culpa, I screwed up and I'm sorry. Uh, no, this really was a good idea, and we really should buy this plane because, and make the case for it, or whether it was, um, uh, oh, look at me, poor Doug Ford, I'm the victim again. So he tried to do all three, which made it for a weird press conference that was disjointed and that there was no clear message. It was almost like I say, like Mariah Carey trying to do a run. He tried to sing all the notes, but unfortunately, he's not Mariah Carey, and it was just a mess rather than this wonderful thing of beauty where you turn around and say, "Oh my God, how did she put all that together and make it sound so great?" This was just a hot mess. It's just a hot mess. So I will probably bring this to you tomorrow instead, along with a little bit of, because I was hoping to hit all four, Doug Ford and Avi Lewis and Pierre and the Prime Minister today. Um, but I guess I had just had too much to say about what the others had to say. So I will reserve the other two for tomorrow, hoping that it will be a slower news day today. All right, kids and cubs. By the way, I asked yesterday about the hype thing. Apparently, the hype is showing up someplace because I saw a weekly recap and it said that we had received 3 hypes. So it is appearing sometimes somewhere. I think it appears only if you happen to be watching on an Android phone and maybe not on a desktop. But if you do see the hype thing, please do give us the hypes because that does the option. I think you can do it 3 times per week, if I'm not mistaken. And if you're watching the regular show and you do happen to have a cell phone, just go on to our YouTube page and maybe if you can give us a hype that way when you see it. But apparently it does help smaller subscriber based shows like ours to get a little extra boost in terms of our visibility and the stuff of the like. So we thank you for your support on that front. A couple little updates before we do the extra. A couple of days ago, I had mentioned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his case. And I had got an article um, that was a couple of days old saying that his case was supposed to reopen and that his case would have reopened, but I couldn't find anything as to whether or not it had reopened. And then a couple of days ago, the news came out, according to Azir News's Akbar Novruz, Benjamin Netanyahu is unlikely to resume testimony in his ongoing criminal trial before next week, following a decision by Jerusalem court to postpone his appearance and hear another defense witness instead, Azir News reports. According to Reuters and other reports, Netanyahu's last confirmed testimony took place on February 23rd before a series of delays linked to war-related court disruptions and subsequent postponement requests. The ruling was issued by judges Rivka Friedman-Feldman, Moshe Bar-Am, and Oded Shaham, following a defense request to cancel the prime minister's testimony due to what was described as, quote, security diplomatic reasons. These arguments were presented in sealed materials submitted to the court and the prosecution. The prosecution opposed the request, arguing that unless there were urgent and unavoidable security concerns, Netanyahu should adhere to the court schedule. It also stressed the public interest in advancing the trial and completing his cross-examination. Instead, the court agreed to hear testimony on Monday from Ilanit Filber, the wife of former Netanyahu aide state witness Shlomo Filber. Shlomo Filber is a central figure in Case 4000, known as the Besek Wala affair, where Netanyahu faces a bribery charge. He previously served as Director General of Israel's Communications Ministry under Netanyahu. Although initially considered a key prosecution witness supporting allegations that regulatory benefits were exchanged for favorable media coverage, his 2022 testimony contained significant inconsistencies, and prosecutors later moved to cancel his state witness agreement. So there you have it, a little bit of an update on that, kits and cubs. Also from Forbes's, I'm going to look at the name here of the journalist, Alison Durkee. It says that it's prompting, of course, this is prompting questions whether or not he is attempting to prolong the Iran conflict for his own benefit. So the trial did indeed resume, just not with him testifying yet. Let's see here if there's anything here else there. Says the court still has to, let's see. So he's applied for this. This is on the 10th. So I guess this was before it was indeed granted. So yes, he did get it. And as we mentioned here, there are 3 different cases being tried at the same time. Case 4000, which is the one I told you about the news agency for better coverage. And then case 1000 is him being charged with fraud and breach of trust for allegedly receiving nearly $200,000 in gifts from Hollywood film producer Arnon Milchan and billionaire James Packer, particularly champagne and cigars. In exchange, Netanyahu allegedly helped Milchan's business interests between 2011 and 2016, though the prime minister claims the gifts were merely tokens of friendship. And then case 2000, prosecutors allege Netanyahu negotiated a quid pro quo arrangement with Arnon Moses of the media group Yedioth Aharonoth in 2014, charging Netanyahu with fraud and breach of trust. Netanyahu allegedly promised to promote legislation that would have hurt Yedioth Aharonoth's rival newspaper in exchange for favorable coverage, though there are no allegations that he actually ended up pushing the legislation. So those are the 3 cases being tried, and or the 3 charges being tried at the moment. And it seems at the moment that the case is proceeding, but with other witnesses, and that Netanyahu was indeed granted the delay he was seeking, at least for his testimony. All right, kids and cubs, this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show, we hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. Let's see, what else do we have here for you, kids and cubs? Right? Nope, that's good. Remember, sharing is caring. So please share our content. And if you can say why it is that it resonated with you, we appreciate that because that's advertising that we cannot buy. If you would like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, one of the ways you can do that is by scanning this QR code, which will bring us to our YouTube page if you are not there already, where we now have 30,000 subscribers. Yay! Thank you so much. Please scan the QR code and go there and smash with our buttons, like, share, and subscribe. We love it when you get freaky. Give them a little smash. You can take your time. You can do it really quickly. We don't care, man. We don't judge. Just smash with us. It helps us with the algorithm when you do, and we really, really thank you. And again, if you are watching us on Android and you do see the opportunity to give us some hype points, please do that. We very much appreciate it. And if you would like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, let's say financially, because we incur some costs to bring this show to you, we would definitely appreciate receiving an enthusiastic expression of encouragement on your part for us to do more. Just scan that QR code, which will bring you to our coffee page. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. And there you can make a one-time donation or set up a recurring donation. And you can keep your Eager Beaver well-stocked in hot chocolate, or your Mr. Grizzly, favorite Mr. Grizzly, in dark coffee. But as I like to call it, beaver moistener, because a happy beaver is a moist beaver. Yum, 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 yum. So please fill our cup. A nice donation on your part would definitely make our day. And when you donate via coffee, we get about 95 to 97% of your donation. You can also donate via super chat and stickers and memberships and all that kind of stuff on our YouTube page. We get about 70% of your donation there, and we are very grateful for them. Thank you. And if you are doing the Buy Canadian thing and don't want your donation to go through any US CE tech bro who will then take a portion of your money and donate it back to Donald Trump so he could do terrible things to us, then a direct bank-to-bank transfer using our email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, keeps your transaction entirely Canadian from one institution to another in our beautiful country, and comes with the benefit of zero service charges, so we get 100% of your donation. Your Beaver buck has more bang to it when you donate directly. We thank you for your donations no matter how you do it. Every single cent is appreciated, and it all goes back into the show. And if you are not able to donate financially, please do not worry, because the gifts of your attention and participation are the ones that matter the most to us. And we really, really, really want to hear from you. So please use that email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, to let us know what you think about the show, good, bad, or ugly. Please be gentle if it's ugly. We are sensitive creatures and we have feelings, but we are very much open to constructive critique. Also, some guest suggestions if you want for our True North Eager Beaver interview project. We would love to hear who you would like to see on the show, and we will try to get them for you. Remember our hashtags, Kids Who Cook, Kids Who Cultivate, and Kids Who Craft. If you are making something delicious, basically putting together something beautiful artistically, or if you are working in the garden and have some tips for us who are starting out and still in the garden experimental phase, we appreciate all of that. And if you are looking for us on our socials, at True Eager on the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, on the Jitter, True North Eager Beaver on Facebook, our original home. We have, of course, the YouTube page right down here in the comments section. You can leave us a word. We have the Damn Fam Discord if you want to keep the conversation going, and our Instagram that is run by Kit Uncover, and of course our Beaver Bites Substack. All the ways that you can reach us. So please do communicate with us. We read everything you sent us, even though we're not necessarily able to respond to all of you, and all of your comments also go back into the show to make it better. Because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs, remember the public consultation for the Alto Train is up. You go to altotrain.ca/en/public-consultation, and there you can let your views be known, and that's open until the 24th, so 3 more days. If you have some comments about the route or any environmental concerns or things of the like, or about expropriations, that type of stuff, please do let your views be known. If you are in British Columbia, you can no longer buy membership because that is closed, but you will soon be getting your ballots. I believe they go out on May 9th for the BC Conservative Party leadership race. Please ensure that you get your vote in as soon as you can, when you can, and those results will be announced on the 30th. And of course, if you're in Ontario, remember April 25th there is going to be province-wide demonstrations all across the province against Doug Ford's government. So please take a look at what's going on in your community and make a plan. Call some friends, go out and make some noise. Thank you very much. We need that. Very important. Okay, let's see. It's time for some words of wisdom. Kids and cubs, once again, I'm going to be going out and meeting my heroes. So, like I said, I think my words of wisdom are for myself. Breathe, and you'll be okay. And if you do happen to inadvertently make an ass of yourself in a charming way, know that it probably will be considered charming. Even though you will be very embarrassed. In the moment, when you go back home, it'll probably be viewed as charming, and you'll survive. No matter how awkward or geekly you're going to be, rest assured that he probably will say yes to yet another interview. So you won't completely blow it. Words of wisdom to myself. Kids and cubs, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And at the count of 3, may I please get a little audience participation and have you say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on 1, 2, and 3. There it is. I heard you. I heard you. It was good stuff. It made me happy. And thank you to the new people who had joined us today in the chat. Hopefully you liked your experience here, and you will pull up a log and stay a while. Looking forward to seeing you again in the future. And with that, my darlings and my lovelies, here's a little cock-a-doodle-doo just for you. Yes, because you're just that special. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. And of course, I would be remiss if I left without a little bit of a sports update. Oh, Ottawa Senators, why? It was so close. That was a match they should have won. There was so many opportunities, goals that hit the post that were on the goal line and didn't go in, and just all that kind of stuff. It's like, what do you have to do to win? But boys, you're playing well. You're playing well. Just keep at it. It will happen for you. It will happen for you. But oh my God, 3-2 overtime when the Sens played so well, just broke my heart. Fortunately, the Edmonton Oilers did come back from a scare. They were leading 2-0, and then by the time I went to bed, they were down 3-2, and was like, But they did pull it out with a 4-2 win over the Anaheim Ducks. Our Toronto Raptors, unfortunately, suffered a second consecutive loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hopefully, they will be able to pick up as the series shifts. I assume the series shifts. Tonight, Kits and Cubs, we have Game 2, Montreal Canadiens and Tampa Bay Lightning at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. For those who are watching, I will definitely be supporting that. Also, for those following the PWHL, very important match between the Toronto Scepters and New York Sirens. If the Sirens win, the Toronto Scepters' chances for playoffs are eliminated. If the Toronto Scepters are in, they tie Ottawa for that final position, and with Ottawa having 2 games left, the last game there being against the Toronto Scepters. So it could go all the way to the end. And of course, in another match, the Montreal Victoire will play the Vancouver Golden Eyes, but the Montreal Victoire's place in the series is already in the playoffs, has already been confirmed. And the Vancouver Golden Eyes are out of the competition picture for this year. So that's the stuff going on, Kits and Cubs. We're going to give a little cheer for nos Canadiens. Go Habs, go, ce soir. And until then, and until we see each other tomorrow, amour et gros bisous. And you have a beaverific day.